Good morning, everybody. Hardcore League Season 8 is like a week in right now, and so I wanted to give you guys kind of like my preliminary thoughts, my review of the league so far, go over some of the mechanics and other things, and just kind of talk generally about my opinion about how I think this league is going in comparison to like some of the previous leagues and stuff like that. So to get things out of the way right away, some people have asked me, is this a hardcore league? Is this one of the harder ones? And my answer is I think this is tied for the easiest hardcore league of them all. Hardcore is something where usually you have to do a bunch of quests on at the very least elite difficulty, and there's usually twists or harder mechanics. But for this one, because of the way the mechanics are set up and what you need to do, you can play the entire game on normal mode, which means you basically can't die, and also you don't have to interact with any of the new mechanics because the new mechanics are champions, and champions don't spawn on normal mode, so you can just play normal and get through the entire game without ever really having to, ever having to deal with that. And since there's no 5,000 favor reward, it's just a treasure hunt. The treasure hunt is very cool, but now that we found all the treasure, which if you want to link to it, link will be posted below, and I'll be posting a video soon about where to get each individual treasure, basically a step-by-step guide. The mechanic means you don't really need to play more than normal difficulty unless you go into like doing the Reaper mode and stuff. And then even then, the champions, they don't seem too bad for the most part. There's only like really one that's kind of dangerous, which is the Silence champion. So not too worried about that. So for the general player, I think that this is going to be probably the easiest hardcore league ever. And if you're somebody who likes to do Reaper mode, we don't know yet because we're waiting on the Kobold to come back before we all give it a shot. Speaking of which, let's talk about the Kobold. So usually the hardcore vendor's there right away, so you can get like mounts from a previous season, you can see the rewards, you can hand them in when you get them. But due to some colossal screw up by SSG, the vendor was giving away the rewards right away. So if you just talk to him, he would just give you everything. And so they had to turn it off, and they've had it off for an entire week, which again, in my opinion, major screw up. The hardcore vendor, like being able to turn in your rewards when you get them, so that way if you die you still get to keep them, is kind of important. Like I think that's a relatively important mechanic, and it's one of the reasons why I haven't started doing Reaper mode right now, because while my character is fully geared, I am level 32 with a full gear set, I just don't want to do it yet, because in the event that I die, I don't have to go refarm out everything else that I've already accomplished. So we're waiting for the Kobold to come back, and it's supposed to come back at some point this year. So when the Kobold does come, or not this year, this week, when the Kobold does come back, I will be putting out the video on how to get all of the treasures. And that's actually a beautiful segue into the treasure segment of Hardcore League. So the treasure hunt. Overall, it was pretty cool. It's a cool idea. For those of you that haven't played Hardcore yet, the simple mechanic is that throughout the world, in optionals, there are hidden treasure, or like some of the optional treasure chests have been replaced by golden treasure chests that contain a special dragon figurine, which is, once you collect 7 of them, you can turn them into the Kobold hardcore vendor, and he will give you some sort of special prize. We don't know what that is right now because the vendor's turned off, but if you watch this a little bit later, you might already know what that is. There's also more than 7 pieces. We've been finding more of them. The game doesn't tell you where to go. Once you find one of the treasures, then the Kobold will give a hint to everybody. So, for example, in Sacrifices, which is one of the quests on Korthos Island, there was a golden treasure there. Once it was found, then if you talk to the Kobold, he will tell everyone the hint, like, oh, here is hint number 1, where you find the first one. So now, as of recording this video, we found 13, and that there's only 13. So since we found all of them, he should have all of the hints now available. So if you don't want to watch a YouTube video, you can actually just go and talk to the Kobold, and he'll give you the hint for the next one, which is pretty cool. Again, eventually, whenever he comes back. But there were like a couple problems with this mechanic that I really don't like. So the first problem that I don't like is some community actions. Some people data mined all the locations like right away and decided to share that information, which like I don't really like that much, because it kind of spoils the whole point of like a treasure hunt. If you already know what you're trying to be looking for, that's the reason why I say like, oh, we found them all, because that information was data mined, unfortunately. And so it kind of like spoils some of the surprise if we kind of know the details. So a lot of people have differing opinions about data mining, but especially in a like if you want to data mine how a mechanic works or something else like that, I can kind of understand some of that. But like just, learning the secrets of the treasure hunt, it just kind of defeats the purpose. And so It was just not as fun, especially for that part. So that was kind of a big problem. I don't know if SSG can protect themselves in the future from stopping that from happening, so that, you know, if they want to do something cool, like a new treasure hunt or something, we don't have a situation where all of a sudden it's like, oh, data miners figured it out on the first day, and then we don't actually have to think about it. Because I try to avoid that information, but I had like 500 people in my chat on the first day, which is insane, by the way. I've never had 500 viewers for DDO, so that's really cool. So thank you to everyone who tuned in. But people couldn't control themselves from typing it in, because in 500 people, I can't control all their actions. So even though I wanted to avoid it, there was no real way to do that. So that was kind of like, you know, an issue that's the bigger issue in my opinion. And then the smaller issue that is also still big is because we didn't know where all the treasures were, and there's a level cap on Hardcore League, you can only do things 2 levels over, it meant that for players like myself, there are 2 treasures I can't get. I have 11 of the 13, and the ones I missed were on sacrifices. I didn't do sacrifices on the first day, so I can't get it. And then I didn't do Study in Sable, which is the last one that is found, which is level 26 quest, and my character's level 32, so I can't go back and do it. Which means if I want to collect the treasures, I have to play the entirety of DDO again all the way up to level 30, which is kind of bad. Like, I can understand it from the perspective of like, oh, it's a kooky treasure hunt, and until all are found, you know, we're still looking. But it means that, like, for me, it's not a big deal. I'll go make a new character. But if somebody has already taken, like, you know, maybe there's like their big weekend they can play, they put all that time in, like asking somebody to get up to level 30 again is like 30 plus hours. So if somebody missed one of the treasures along the way, they can't get it in Epics or they can't get it in another place. And then all of a sudden they now get told, oh, if you want to get all of them, you have to spend another 30, 40 hours, even though they already spent that time. That kind of sucks. I mean, I guess it would have been too obvious if certain quests would allow you to go in at like any level, but the fact that there's like no way to go back and recollect some of those treasures once you've already done it, it's not like account wide. If it was like account wide, I could maybe get that because you could like collect them all on different characters and kind of pool them into one. But because it's character bound, you're kind of limited. So I have to reincarnate now to get them on my one character, or make a brand new character. Both options suck because I can't reincarnate without buying something from the store, because I didn't think I would have to. So I didn't farm out tokens of the 12, and I'm too high level to do that. So I have to buy something out of the store. Great job, SSG. Or I have to make a new character, which means I have to spend an extra 30, 40 hours leveling up a character through the whole game to be able to get all the treasures on one character again. Again, great job, SSG. I've already put in like 70-ish hours of hardcore in the first week, which I know is a lot. I know that's too much, but, you know, getting the guild set up, farming all the gold, getting the actual shards and everything else for the ship, you know, we put a lot of time into it. But yeah, so to me, that's like also another kind of a big, not so much screw up, but like a big misstep with it. Treasure hunt, very cool. Locking the treasure hunt steps until you have the knowledge. Pretty much, if you were going to start hardcore, if you start tomorrow when I have my video out that shows you where to get all the treasures, you're not going to miss one, which is cool for all those people, and it kind of means everyone else gets shafted. Not that we spent the time looking for treasures, so it took us extra long, but also if you just missed one somewhere, if we happen to need all 13 for some reason, which again, we don't know as of recording of this video, maybe you only need 7 total, you don't have to collect all 13. But I have a sneaky suspicion that you might want to collect all 13, and if that's the case, again, for players like myself and other people who decided to play early, we're punished with a whole bunch of extra time being spent, which I think is kind of like it's just like an oversight and something I think could have been thought of a little bit more thoroughly, maybe putting things in different areas. I was under the expectation that we're going to do something like, oh, there are treasures littered in heroics, and then there's also treasures littered in epics. And so if you're level 32, you can get a different copy of all of the same treasures. So let's just say like, oh, I didn't pick up the one in Sacrifices. Well, the one in Sacrifices also drops in Legendary Isle of Dread, for example. So you can still get a copy of each of the treasures without having to do all this other stuff. But again, that doesn't appear to be the case. So if you're somebody who wanted to get them all and you passed it, you're out of luck. Make a new character and devote another 30 hours to the video game. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. As I said, it's a frustration for me, but I don't kind of. I'm happy they're trying something new. I'm also happy that they actually decided to devote some time into epics as well, because I find that a lot of times SSG avoids epics when it comes to Hardcore League. You know, all the rewards stop at 20, basically. You can earn 5k favor before 20. Level 20 is the big leveling reward. I've always wanted there to be something for actually doing the endgame content, because it's something that I like to do. You know, they don't necessarily have to be like, oh, do all the raids reward or something else like that, although that would be very cool. Just the fact that they actually do at least have a few quests that are epic exclusive means that, you know, people are incentivized to go into epics, and it's like a good first step. I want them to continue along that train of thinking, so please do add in some more things like that. Who knows, maybe a level 30 reward or a level 32 reward, or a a reward for doing all of the raids or something like, or reward for doing like any legendary raid would be kind of neat. In the future, in future hardcore leagues. They don't necessarily have to do that, but it would just be nice if they decided to, because they've already gotten this like first step. And then finally, like the actual like mechanics, like the champions. The champions are cool. I like them. They're not too bad. Oh, I forgot the magic resistance rating. Oh yeah, so every monster in the game also is buffed with extra magic resistance rating and spell power, doubly so on kobolds and dragons. And I gotta say, it is noticeable in the first couple of levels. If you're playing a spellcaster, you're gonna feel it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, probably until level 6. But then beyond that, honestly, you just like rip your way through the game. I'm still hitting monsters for like 45, 50,000 damage at epics. So even though monsters are taking 30% less damage from any magic spells, I don't super care too much because I am just killing everything anyway. And I think that's going to be how spellcasters are. It kind of goes to show you how gross the spellcaster leveling process is, especially in comparison to how powerful the leveling process is for non-spellcasters. Next hardcore league, I think what I'm going to do is day 1 push. So this day 1 push, we did all 6 archetypes, which I thought was kind of cool. I think next day 1 push, 1 to 20, will be all melees, just to kind of show a bit of a contrast, and especially the timer is going to show a bit of a contrast, I'll tell you what. But yeah, overall, the extra magic resistance rating mechanic, it's like kind of annoying in the first few levels, but then once you level up high enough, you just like kind of forget it's there. You just, now your numbers are yellow, but you're still blowing everything up, so it doesn't really matter. And at epics, honestly, I don't even think you notice. Like yeah, it is. You know, I think the monsters have like 50 to 70 MRR or something like that. It's not a big deal. It doesn't matter. In fact, it's so not a big deal. I'm not even crafting a dinosaur bone thing to reduce magic resistance rating on monsters. I'm just going to leave it with affirmation so I don't die, so I can go through Reaper mode. Because again, it's not providing too much additional challenge. The hardest champion is the Korkaza champion that silences you, in my opinion. It's like the most dangerous one. So, because when you're silenced, especially as a Blightcaster Druid, I actually mostly cast spells. I have very few spell-like abilities. It's pretty much just Dragon Breath is my only spell-like ability. So, when I'm silenced, I'm a little limited. But because Ruin, Greater Ruin, Acid Well, these are all spells. So, unfortunately, they get locked out from me. But outside of Korkaza champs, the rest of them aren't really that big of a deal. In theory, there might be some danger in terms of the Vila champs because they get stun immunity and enchantment immunity. Fun fact, a Greater Color Spray is like a petrification effect where they get like frozen. And so as a result, it's not an enchantment or a stun. It's a petrification. So it works no problem. And Greater Color Spray is a very easy spell to level up. Or you just get some illusion DCs, some universal DCs, and you just crush things. So you can just go ahead and use Greater Color Spray on every pack. Or just, I'm a Druid, I just Tsunami him and knock him down. Or I'm a Druid, I just cast Dragon Breath and hit him for 50,000 damage. I don't even care. So overall, I don't really see the challenge too much from that. But again, we'll see when we actually get into the Reaper mode. I'm not 100% sure. Anyways, these are some of my opening thoughts. I had a lot of fun so far playing on Hardcore League. I have a lot more Hardcore League to play. A bunch of people have been asking me about doing another solo guided playthrough. I will be doing one this hardcore, so you can see how to play through the game. I'll be posting one of a character that can deal with traps. So if you're somebody who doesn't know how to deal with, like, doesn't know where to find traps, what are the tricks to finding traps, how do you get good trapping gear, I'll do a solo guided playthrough of a trapping character this hardcore league. And the reason why I do it on hardcore is to show you, like, the strategies I'm going to be using are bulletproof. So that way, if you just do what I do, you'll have no struggle and you'll be able to get through. Other than like the learning process, obviously, which may cause you a little bit of a struggle, but everybody takes time to learn. But yeah, that's it. So you're going to get a video from me soon about where to find every single dragon piece. I'm going to be doing it where I basically start at the beginning of the dungeon and then go to where the piece is in each dungeon. So you should be able to see that pretty clear and straightforward. And hopefully that will be easy for you. But yeah, other than that, that's all I have. So thank you for watching. If you like what you saw, make sure you hit that like button and consider subscribing, because if you don't, then you're not going to be subscribed, and that's just not good for either of us. You know, it's not good for the old ticker. So make sure you subscribe. If you have any questions or comments about hardcore, leave them down below. I'll do my best to help you out. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun so far, and I'm excited for more hardcore action. I'm excited to do Reapers and kind of get those 20 Reaper points, and then also do what I did last season, which is continue to help people earn more Reaper points, get their 10, get their 20, or whatever it is that they are looking for. And I'm also not looking forward to TRing, so that's going to be my first TR on hardcore ever because I have no choice. So again, thank you for watching. Hope you had a fantastic time, and I'll see you in the future.